Okay. Then I'd like to call forward Mustafa Mahmutovic to give a demo of Fairdrive. Hi, Mustafa.
Hey, Robert. Nice to
Hi.
see you. Yeah, and thanks, Gregor, for introduction of Fairdrive protocol and Fairdrive itself. We built that together, and my focus would be more on technical side of Fairdrive protocol and Fairdrive and how you can interact with Fairdrive as storage unit through FairOS currently, and if there is another SEPs compliant, we will extend it on the Fairdrive protocol. Let me just start sharing my screen, just a sec. So, as Gregor already mentioned, we want you to build your dApps faster so you don't think about backend services and login and storing and calling the APIs and everything. So what we started to build is the Fairdrive protocol itself. So the idea here is when you are creating your dApp, you inject the Fairdrive protocol as a package and you call all the components that Fairdrive protocol offers, and you don't think what happens beyond that. What happens behind the Fairdrive protocol is currently he's communicating with FairOS DFS, which is the centralized file system that communicates with B client and saves users data and fetches and manipulates the data itself. So I won't go about the Fairdrive and Fairdrive protocol idea because Gregor already mentioned. I will just go into tech details. So what we created on the Fairdrive protocol level is an NPM package and you can download it. It's currently in the sandbox mode and it's in development. You can download it by running the yard or npm called fd-d/b. It's like Fairdrive test protocol. And when we publish an official version, it will be Fairdrive dash protocol. What we created here, I will just go through the components that we already have, and then I will jump into the code that I created just for testing purposes and showing how easy it is to start developing that using the Fairdrive protocol. So most of the components that you already have is the login component, where a user enters his details to access his Fairdrive account, and you will get the session cookie and the password that you will need to open the pods. We also have the upload file. All of these components are shown on the Dracula that Gregor already demonstrated with his the Markdown editor. And all of these components, as you see, just a sec, are easy to inject. It's just import the component and call it like this. If you want to, let's say, upload a file, you will probably save the file as a blob, and then you need to send the file inside the component as a parameter for the component itself. And the file will be stored on the Fairdrive. Same goes as loading the files. You will first import the load files component. You will store the files locally on component level on the using webhooks. So as you see, I didn't mention this. This is built for React apps. It's not for Angular, but we will tackle to cover all of the JS frameworks as front-end frameworks. So it should, in the future, it will be components for all of the frameworks that exist or are mostly used. So you will use the hook on local on component level and calling this function, this component called load files component. You will fetch the files inside that pod and store it on the component level where you can display it to the user. As for opening and listing the pods, it goes the same. You import the component, you set hook on component level and you call up the component itself. To show that in code and how easy it is, I will just show something that I did today. So what I did was I firstly installed the package as fd-tp.p and call up 3 components: the login, list pod, and open pod component. Inside my component, I set 3 hooks, like the password. Password is needed to open the pod itself and grant access to pod and listing files and uploading the file in that pod. This hook will be used to set all the pods that are associated with user's account. And last one is pod that we want to open. As you can see, there isn't much code. It's listing, calling one function, list all pods, calling second function to open the pod. And this is the third component, login component. So when user enters password and it's correct, when login component returns the password, you will have functionalities on these 2, the list component, list pods, and open pods component. So far, just a sec. Let's open that app itself. This is the app. So as you can see this on the screen, here, connect to Fairdrive. I call it this component because we don't have any password stored from the Fairdrive. And when I authorize my app, I should see the button called list pods. And list pod component is this one. And just a sec, let's open the console log and network. And when I call the list pods, I now have listed all of my pods available. And when I click on it, I will open them. So interaction with this component, list pods, call up the function on FairOS that will return all of my pods under the username Lucky, the haha and the home. So as you see, and if I click on the home, just a sec, my pod is open successfully and opens successfully, and I have access to that pod. Same goes to this one. I opened it successfully. To check that one up, no. Okay, I can use this one as well. So it goes the same. Even on the Dracula, what we did is just inject the components on the app so we can access them. Press authorize. Okay, yeah. And if I click, these are my pods, same ones as are here. And if I click on one and load files, I will have like multiple files, file.me. I just called the component on the opening files. For the implementation, if you want to go inside, most of it's done in React. If I open the component called modules and connect to Fairdrive, what we did here for you is that we received the username and password from your app that you provide us, store it, and call login functionality inside the FairOS so far. And we return the response to your app, and you store that response locally. And then you have the access to FairOS functionalities for the user. What else can I talk about? I think that covers the Fairdrive protocol itself. I just wanted to show how easy it is for you to start developing app, so you don't think about handling connections with backend, calling the Axios, handling errors, handling responses from the backend services, all of it, it's done in the Fairdrive protocol. It's plug and play system for your dApp development. And I'm ready for questions.
Thank you, Mustafa, for the demonstration. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A section, or raise your hand and you will get the voice. With regards to Fairdrive. In the meantime, Mustafa, what is with regards to the ease of use of the system? What was the most recent feature added that you enjoyed?
Most recent feature added is listing all the files and on click opening the files. Like what I showed you here. This, oh, I'm still screen sharing, just to confirm.
Oh, yes, you are.
On the Dracula, I didn't do any coding of discard. I just called the Fairdrive protocol component called list all files. And this was the view. And it has integrated on click functionality. When you click it, it will open the file itself. It will return the file readable for you. And that was like the most interesting component to build. As a developer, when I want to list all the files, I need to think about designing it, listing it, the click functionalities and everything. Here we offered like displaying all the files from the pod. And when you click on the file, it will return you readable object to your app where you can show it as a string. I displayed here as a text.
Okay. As far as I can see, let me just quickly check. Yeah, we don't have any further questions, so I'd like to thank you again for the demonstration. If you want to know more about Fairdrive, of course, Gregor has provided some links as well in his talk. Be sure to check it out. How it could aid you in your application development. Let's see. You're still screen sharing, Mustafa?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. So thanks again.
You're welcome. And all of these can be found in the GitHub repos under Fair Data Society organization. So Fairdrive is there, publicly open for you to investigate the development and itself. Fairdrive protocol, you can find the implementation there and the documentation, how to use all the components that we provided. And the Dracula is as well there, Fairdrive photo is there. All the mini dApps we implemented for testing the protocol itself. So if you want to check how something is done, it's on the Fair Data Society's repo.